World. Welcome once again to another exciting episode of Neil the Deal as we go around the world. And we've been going around the world for the past few weeks, haven't we, Neil? We've been going to South America, Central America, North America, over to Britain. Have we done any Japan fighters? Maybe. But speaking of Asia and that whole neck of the woods, we're going down to Australia today, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
That is correct, Graham. Yes, thanks for having me out. Nice to see you again, Graham. Good evening, all you Talkin' Fight fans, Neil the Deal Show. Buddies, thanks a lot for coming out and checking out the show. Yeah, we're gonna talk about an Australian fighter. I know there's not a lot of big fighters out of Australia. There is a few, but this guy seems to be at the forefront right now, and he has been for a while. So I thought he'd be a really good guy to talk about. His name is George Kambosos Jr. Kambosos Jr. So George Kambosos Jr. is, we'll just let you guys know the reason why we're talking probably about him. A lot of you guys have probably never heard of him, but he's scheduled to fight Teofimo Lopez June 5th, I believe, in Miami, Florida. They keep going back and forth, New York City, Miami, Florida, but I believe it's going to be June 5th in Miami, Florida. And he is the IBF mandatory challenger for the title. So it's interesting how they've decided to match those two guys up. And I thought it'd be really good to talk about George Kambosos Jr. tonight because, like I said, I've been watching him for the last couple of years, and this is his big shot. This is, when you get the big shot, Graham, this is his big shot. And he seems to be very well prepared. He's a very confident fighter. He always has been. And I kind of like him, to be honest with you. I kind of like, we're going to talk about him. And at the end, we'll have a little prediction about what's going to happen with the upcoming fight. So his nickname is Ferocious. That'll tell you right away what he's all about. Ferocious. Watch him fight. He's covered in tattoos, and he is pretty ferocious. He's got a very aggressive style. He definitely, when guys are down and out, he smells blood and he takes them out. He's a very confident fighter. It's like he's got nothing to lose. This is what I liked about him, is he's a real underdog, really. Like, obviously against Lopez, he's going to be a huge underdog. But he's got nothing to lose. And when you got nothing to lose, you're just going to give it your all, And he's really coming out saying he's prepared for this. And I've been keeping up on him, and there's a couple things we're going to talk about in a bit, and you'll see why. So he was born June 14th. 1993, that makes him 27 years old, where Lopez is 23, so he's a little older than Lopez. He was born in Sydney, Australia. And he also resides in Sydney, Australia. So that would be nice. Sydney, Australia would be a nice place to grow up, no doubt. Yes. He started his pro career, Graham, in 2013. And guys, 2013, then he's a present active fighter. Like I say, he's still fighting, and he has a real big fight coming up. So we'll just keep your eyes peeled for this one. He's in the lightweight division. So, again, we're talking about lightweight guys, and he got lost in the mix as far as I was concerned. I was looking at him, but when you got your Devin Haney's and your Gervonta Davises and your Ryan Garcias and your Teofimo Lopez's and Lomachenko and all these guys in that division, he's not really getting all the credit that I believe that he's due. So, I think, honestly, I think he's got a really good shot here. I know most people don't think, but I actually think he's got a good shot because of that, because of the fact that he's such an underdog, but he's not within himself, like he really believes in himself, and he's a really, really good fighter, all-around good fighter. So he started boxing when he was 11 years old, and he was also involved in rugby, Graham, in Australia.
Probably Australian rules.
Yeah, that Australian rules rugby. Ever see that stuff?
Love it.
That's a heck of a sport there in itself. You know what I mean? So he's definitely tough. Like, there's no doubt about it. You got to be really tough to play Australian rules rugby. So, and he's been doing it since he was a junior kid, like a very young child. So around 11 years old, his dad decided to get him into boxing, and then he started excelling in both sports. So he had to make a decision at some point which sport he was going to pursue, once he got up into his teens. And both both sports were he was excelling at both of them. So, but he chose boxing, and he's been amazing. You know, he's got a lot of heart. That's what I like about him too. I love fighters that have heart, right? And he's got his motor never stops in the ring. The 4 or 5 fights that I seen him in, he just goes the whole time, right? Just goes like all the whole fight. He does not stop. He doesn't rest. So that tells me that he's in really good shape. That's for sure. And he's been basically he's been taking out everybody to this point. So he's definitely somebody that we're going to keep our eye on. And I think guys out there, you guys should be keeping your eye on George Kambosos Jr. as well. So he had a lot of amateur bouts. He had 100 amateur bouts in Australia, and he won 85 of them. So he got some great experience growing up with those 100 amateur bouts, and then he had the 15 losses. But that all comes when you're an amateur. You know, you're just a kid and you're learning the craft. So 85 wins is a heck of a lot of wins in an amateur situation for sure, no doubt about it. He didn't get into the Olympic program or anything. He was talking about that a little while ago, but he decided to turn pro. So let's go over his pro totals. He has had 19 pro fights to date, of which he has 19 wins. He's undefeated. He has 10 knockouts. That gives him a knockout percentage of 53%. So he's undefeated, and he's the #1 mandatory challenger from the IBF. So he's looking to me, like I say, I've been watching him, and he could be one of those. Could be the upset of the year almost. You know what I'm saying? This could be the upset of the year because Lopez has got to put all 5 titles up that night.
Yeah.
You know, so if George pulls this one off, it probably will go down as the upset of the year, and I'm not counting him out. Honestly, he's got a good shot. I'm telling you, he's going to come out really hard. I know that. So, but Lopez, you know, we all know who he is. So this is going to be a very interesting fight. So he turned pro, like I said, at 19 years old, and then he won a bunch of titles, Graham, that are sort of the Asian area titles type of thing. Like he's never been a world champion. This is his first shot at a world championship belt, and here he's got to fight the guy who's got all the belts. So if there's ever a chance to do it, this is going to be his chance, no doubt about it. So in 2013, guys, he won the NSW state lightweight title. Now, I never even heard of the NSW lightweight title, so I had to look it up, and it's the New South Wales lightweight title. So that was interesting. This is in 2013. Because he's been fighting in Australia and down in the south there and all around the islands and stuff in Asia. You know, this is where he's had all his fights. He's had a couple of fights in the States recently, but his career basically from the start was, you know, all down there. He also in 2014 he won the Australian lightweight title, so he was the country's champion. All right, which is you know, he's very well known in Australia. He's very well known. In 2016, he captured the WBA Oceania title. Do you know anything about the Oceania titles, Graham?
Not specifically, but they probably follow the same category as the amateur titles. As you lead up to the Olympics, you'll find the Asian Oceania qualifiers, for example. So they're just talking about that belt of the Pacific, that western belt of the Pacific spanning Asia down to Australia and likely New Zealand, and more than likely those various islands. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like Indonesia, Malaysia, all these islands, all these places in there, all along that big belt of the world there. So yeah, but these are pro titles, but yes, they do have the amateur titles as well. But that's just the region. It's called Oceania. So that was interesting. And then in 2017, he won the IBF Pan Pacific title, which he still holds right now, which is the Pan Pacific IBF title. So he still holds that right now. And there was a really good. See, I had heard when Manny Pacquiao was fighting a guy named Jeff Horn a few years ago. Do you remember that fight, Graham, against Jeff Horn, Australian guy? Jeff Horn beat Pacquiao.
Wow.
Yes, yeah. But then Pacquiao beat Horn, so it was one of those rematch things. But Jeff Horn is a big Australian fighter as well. When Manny Pacquiao was preparing to fight Jeff Horn, he brought George Kambosos Jr. in as his main sparring partner. So this is where I started thinking, wow, this guy's he's the main sparring partner for Manny Pacquiao. And right now, he remains the main sparring partner for Manny Pacquiao. He's had over 250 rounds against Manny Pacquiao.
Wow.
So, and you can imagine that Manny's probably giving him a few tips, if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
That's why I'm thinking this guy could be a sleeper. This could be the sleeper of the year pick. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, Lopez might be in for a little more than he figures here. I don't know, right? So this is going to be like 250 rounds with Manny Pacquiao. That's crazy. So since 2008 or 2018, he made his U.S. debut, and he racked up a bunch of wins, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 wins in the U.S. And his most recent fight in October 2020, he defeated former world champion Lee Selby. That was the eliminator for the IBF mandatory challenge, and he won that fight, split decision, I believe. And so here he is. He gets the shot at Lopez, which is really, really cool. I'm kind of happy for a guy like that because he's such an underdog. You know what I mean? Compared to some of these other guys, it's, you know. So yeah, in January 2021, they announced that he was to fight Lopez, and apparently they've changed the date a bunch of times, but I hear it's June 5th in Miami, Florida. I've heard June 12th, maybe a week later. But right now, as far as I know, it's going to be June 5th, 2021 in Miami, Florida. So we'll be looking forward to that. And I'm really hoping George, like I'm definitely thinking he's got a shot. Like I said, you know, Graham, he's in there. It's a boxing match. Anything can happen, you know? Anything can happen. And you watch how aggressive he is in the ring. He's not going to go in there and just pretend that he can't win. He's going in there fully knowing he can win this. And he's telling everybody on social media, I'm going to take him down. You watch, you know, they all do say this, but he seems to have a little bit more confidence than most of these guys, especially fighting a guy who's got 5 titles. So notable fights that he's had, guys. If you guys want to go check them out, Kambosos versus Lee Selby. We just talked about him. He was a former world champion. He also fought another former world champion called Mickey Bay. That was a really good fight. And the fight coming up is going to be probably, well, you know, he's going to be a favorite, Lopez. We all know, right? But, hey, George can bring the thunder from down under. Bring the thunder, George, from down under. You know what I mean? Let's go, George. I really like
awesome.
it. I'm telling you, it'll be a great fight. I think you guys will really enjoy it. I'm going to be watching 101% and pulling for George. To be honest with you, you know, it would just be an amazing thing for him to go from where he's come from, like his life, and from being from Australia, not really getting much recognition and stuff, to getting to this point. I think it should be a great fight, Graham, and I'm really looking forward to it.
That's awesome. So we always end up cheering for the underdogs here in Toronto, don't we?
Yeah, it seems like that. I guess so, right?
We're used to it.
We're used to it, right? But yeah. So guys, thanks a lot for coming out and checking out the show on George Kambosos Jr. Keep your eye on him. Take a look at some of his past fights. I'm telling you, Lopez seems to think this is what I'm gonna think. He thinks that this guy's a pushover, and he's just gonna move into that big fight, like a super fight. Well, guess what? He could be in for a rude awakening with the thunder from down under, right? The guy could. I'm telling you, he's got a chance. So, all to you, George. Best of luck to you. I hope everything goes well. I hope that you get your dream come true and win the world title and go on from there. So thanks a lot, guys, for everything, for the likes, the shares, you know, all the subscriptions have been great coming in. And if you want to notify about the show, hit the notification bell for us and we'll let you know when I'm up next. So Tomorrow
Right.
night, 7 p.m., Graham, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Right on. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. We'll see you guys then. Thanks again. Take care of yourselves. Have a safe night.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.